Hello everyone, it's Andrea Taylor here from Bitten by the Bug in Melbourne, Australia. I'm here today to firstly thank everyone who has downloaded my Pentagon Bag pattern, and it has been very remiss of me of not doing a video to explain how I have found the easiest way to put this little bag together and all the different ways of showing it off to its best potential and making it also useful for all sorts of things you might have in your life. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you all my different bags and my sizes and variations of them that you can do just by playing with your own fabric. Okay, so I'll just move. This is my latest one, which you are going to see. This is going to probably be a series of 4 videos of around about 20 minutes. So you're able then to stop and start them, or just look at one section, number 2 or number 3. This one is the introduction, obviously, just showing you the pattern and the bags that I have made. Okay, so these are the 2 patterns, okay, that I have. One is the Pentagon Bag option, the original one. The photos have changed on the front over the few years that I've been doing this, quite a few years actually now, but mostly they are the same inside, except for this one here, which is the tulip model, I suppose you could say, because this one I use as an Easter basket. So this one at the top here is quite different, as you can see, from this one here, the flat edge one. Okay, let's have a look inside both of them. Inside both you have your cardstock templates, laser cut ones, so they're pretty accurate, and your felt. Now your felt, I feel, for these bags is absolutely essential. It will give you the best finish for your bag. It gives it a structural strength. It's easy to sew through if you wish to embroider it. And it's very reliable because it tends to always stick, which is a great thing. Okay, so both of those are available on my website. The pattern as a download, obviously I can't download you iron-on felt. That would be quite difficult. But you can buy the iron-on felt through my website also, or you can buy these as a pattern with the felt and the templates in them. There's also inside both of them a paper pattern of the templates, so you can draw, trace out your own cardboard templates yourself if you have downloaded the pattern. Okay, the pattern has many photos in it. Both patterns, I'll just show you. This one's open, and this, you can see, is the one that has the template master for doing either your card or your fabric, card, okay, and felt. Okay, so just remembering too that these are quite a different size, because the turnover of doing each section or each pentagon with a base of 1 hexagon has a good amount of turnover. Okay, and this is because the turnover protects the felt, and I will mention that probably again during your time watching these videos. Okay, good amount of photos to go by to look at your setup, and having a really good look of the turnover of the fabric there. Plus what you need to do this. Quite often this is a scrap project because you don't need a lot to make this bag. Now, I must say the iron-on felt is only used on the outside of the bag. not on the lining. Okay, so let's have a look at the few of the bags that I have here, and I have quite a few, as you could well imagine. This is a brand new one. And this was fussy cut. So for the people that are quilters among us, they would know that term, because fussy cutting means making a part of the fabric design show to its best ability. Okay, so it's getting it front and center in the middle of each section or pentagon section, as you can see, around the side, and the hexagon at the bottom. So what I do, I will sometimes cut what we call a window. This is like a window, and you lay this on your fabric. You can see here quite clearly. Lay this on the fabric so you can see the design pop up in the middle, and then you don't cut through it, you cut around it. Now, we all know that if you do fussy cut designs for anything, you will always need a little bit more fabric. So be aware of that. Instead of maybe getting a fat quarter of this fabric, you would be better off with a 1/4 metre, because you get the length of the fabric. Okay, so this is a new fabric at Bitten by the Bug. It comes in 2 other colours as well, a beautiful blue and a gold colour as well, which I'll probably show you in later videos. But I always keep these little shapes. So if I ever need to do any fussy cutting, I've got them hanging around. So I cut that usually separately, cut the middle out, and I keep that with my templates in the template bag. Okay, so that's this one. We have this one here. Now, don't be afraid of mixing it up a lot with your bag, because you can embroider and take inspiration from the fabric that you see that you've used in the actual bag, and do panels of pentagons with embroidery on that match the actual fabric. So there's one on the bottom, a biggish one on the bottom, and smaller ones around the top side. I will say the Pentagon bag, the way it sits, the bottom layer, I tend to leave as the main fabric. I don't do a lot of detail there, because you don't really see it. It's sitting with this one here, but the top layer, layer here is where all the fun should be, all the pretty designs that you might want to do. Now, this fabric is called an Oxford cotton, and I must mention, what would you use? What would be the best weight to use for the Pentagon bag? Anything that you feel comfortable with sewing with. It's, I think, a pure fibre, cottons, linens, different types of weaves. You can use rustic cottons. This last one is quite a rustic cotton. It's quite, I suppose, textured to feel, whereas this one is quite soft. It's soft, but it's actually a really good, strong cotton. It's not like a sheeting. So you're looking at all different fabrics that you can use. And the beauty of using the iron-on felt, this is another one here, and this is a sheeting weight, so this is a finer fabric, is that the iron-on felt will give structure and strength to your fabric. So if your fabric, you were using scrap fabrics and they were all different, slightly different, they would still work, because the felt gives that ability for the fabric to behave itself and look just as good as a fabric off the roll. Okay, now this one here was a beautiful, beautiful fabric. I have a little bit of it left, and it features like all gardens of flowers. So I had a great time putting flowers in different areas and making this round here where the bottom is like a spray of flowers here. So that's that one. Now you can use geometric type fabric too. This one here was all little hexagons. So with the scrap, I must say I did use a good 1/4 metre with this one. I cut out these little hexagons from the fabric. So obviously I'm going to have to get enough to turn under, I'm going to sacrifice the ones around it. This is why you needed more fabric. So I cut out all the pentagons first that I needed, and then I did what I could do with the leftovers to make this effect. So your fabric becomes a real inspiration for what you're going to do. So every bag you do can be different. The blue background here is pure linen, and it performs beautifully with the felt also. Now let's have a look at the inside of this one. So you can treat these quite roughly, and they don't seem to mind. They just pop up again. This one here, the leftover of this part became this part, and then the leftover linen became the top part here of the bag. Now you can see it just fits in quite easily, exactly the same shape. The lining is no bigger or no smaller than the outside. It's exactly the same, except it does not have felt in each unit. Okay, that's all you have to remember. All these are put together by hand, completely by hand, in the very, I suppose you could say, traditional way, which will go into the next part, into part 2, how I put these together, each unit. Okay, so that's that one. This was my very, very original one. It's actually got rose petals in it now, and I don't take this to shows, craft alives anymore, because I just don't have the fabric. It is an interesting thing that happens, that when you pick a fabric to make a Pentagon bag, obviously people really then can see what that fabric can do, and they really like that fabric, so it sells out fairly quickly. So this one, again, I did the same sort of principle. I cut out the little hexagons, as you can see on the fabric here, and I made them into little units and appliqued them onto it. I tell you, once I did it, I was not going to do it again, really, because it was very, very time consuming. But I love the effect, and I'll probably keep this one because it was my original one too. Okay, so my other original one, that's a smallish one, is this really big one here, which I have a real love of camellias. So this is all camellias, and the bottom piece is embroidered with the leaves from the fabric. So again, using the fabric as inspiration for your bag. And this has koki clips. These are brass Japanese clips that clip on to the top here in 6 spots, and they still draw up, but the bag will draw up slightly differently than if you use tabs. So it draws up like that and is a bit flatter, okay, when you draw it up. The other reason I made this bag too was to put cups in, or snacks for going to guild meetings, especially when guild meetings, we usually always take our own cup. And so I always like to have it in something like this, with a coaster at the bottom and my tea bags that I prefer as well. Now this one here is a prime example of fussy cutting pattern. This level here, the first level around, has no patterns really fussy cut at all. The top layer is where all the flowers sit, here, and the bottom. Okay, so let's have a look at his bottom. Yeah. Okay, again, the inside is actually the same fabric, but a different colorway. So I'll turn that inside out. And we've got a little bit of gold here, and the rest is just random pieces of the other gold colouring. Okay, now, once you started and you've done a few of the big ones and the middle-sized ones, You can do all sorts of things. So this is a super big. This is a lot bigger again. Now, it's just a matter of grading up your pentagon size in your pattern. So if I lay that on there, you'll see the difference in the size. It's not a huge amount of difference, but if you look at it, you can just see it's around about maybe 1/4 of an inch, about 1/4 and 1/2 inch bigger all the way around. You can make your own templates and then grade up the size of your bag. Now this one again has an interesting design going through it. I didn't have a lot of this fabric to spare, so it makes another pattern that goes through like this in 3 arms, and your plain, I've done little buttons, which is a reverse yo-yo over a piece of template plastic, and then you iron it, pop it out, and then applique it down, and you get this effect. And then I sectioned it off, sort of with little lines. So that's that one. But I was also going to show you, which is my last one to show you in this group that I have, is the miniature one. Okay, so this is tiny. So you're looking at the sizes of these, about this size. So again, grading then your pieces downwards rather than up. So the pattern for the general one is about this size. Well, it is this size, and this is what I did to it. Okay, so I quite often I will use these templates and use them until they're very, very untidy around the edges, and then I'll draw around them 1/4 inch smaller and cut them off and make smaller templates, and then I can make ones with which can go right down to this size. Okay, so these are really good. They don't have tabs, so you don't really need it, and these are great for scraps. If you're sewing your scrap thread, or just putting little things in, the little things that they use to hold fabric together. God, I can't think what they're called now. Instead of pins, you could have those next to you if you're on the sewing machine. Now this one also was fussy cut, and you can see it was fussy cut really close into the flower. So the flowers look very interestingly, weirdly close up, because you can see the middle of the flowers and not the outside of the flowers at all. Okay, so this is all put together by hand. These are all whip stitched together in the English paper piecing style. So English paper piecing is probably one of the most original patchworks of all. But using a 5-sided figure or a pentagon gives it the ability to change its shape into a ball shape. If I was to put a hexagon on this top side here, I would get more or less a ball. But if you think of a soccer ball where it's all pentagons, you will get a proper spherical ball, whereas with a hexagon you'll always get it a bit flatter. Okay, so the pentagon, as I said, has that ability to sit up. So in our next video I'll show you how that works and why that works, and how you do English paper piecing in the traditional style. Now there is a warning on the back of your pattern that this pattern is not suitable to be used in the glue way of assembly, I suppose you could call it. And this is because if you do glue it, it will more than likely dislodge the felt inside, as well as destroy your template. And I like to know that you could use your template several times and make multiple bags, rather than having to try and find new templates or buy new templates. So there is a warning on there, and I have had several people ask me about using the glue stick method, but I don't, I can't guarantee that you would have the best results I would like you to have. Okay, so this is your first video in this series on the Pentagon bag. I hope you enjoyed that. I will be following this with the second and third one, and maybe a fourth, depending on how far I can get through all the instructions for you. So thank you for being with me, and I'll see you at the next video. Thank you.